Hey, right. So we are back. This is you can call it a podcast, but really it's just two people having a chat over Instagram Live. And today I'm going to be joined by Naoki Nayati. Now he might clear up the pronunciation there, but I think I got it pretty close. And so Naoki is someone who I've crossed paths with only briefly over the last year, but through the world, through the online world, I see his work rippling out from afar. Some really interesting stuff. Now I won't tell you too much about him, so I'll leave that for Naoki. But I believe he works in depth with shamanic tools and methods. He also invests, by the looks of it, he invests a fair bit of time into other men, helping them enhance their skills and learn to navigate through the sort of uncertainties that we may be presented with in our lives. Hey, Sunita and Joe, how you guys doing? Oh, Naoki is here, maybe? I think he's joining from his men's work page, the Brotherhood. So yeah, we're going to be discussing what shamanism is to him and how he utilizes it, a bit about his journey, how he got into it, and also I'm looking forward to talking about the men's work he's doing, how he's helping men around the UK, maybe around the world. And he's going to be with us in, I don't know, about 10 minutes or so. Naoki will be joining. I just wanted to jump on early, make sure the connection was good. You hear me alright, Sunita, if you're still there, and Joe.
Hey, brother. How's things?
Hey.
Yeah, good. All right, actually. I was
Man, how you doing?
being a bit anxious today, actually. Just one of those days where it just happens, doesn't it? You get a bit thrown off. Your nervous system's a bit shot, so just really being nice for myself, tender, being open and honest with people, and just said, like, cancelled pretty much all my plans today, apart from you and another client that I had before this. And yeah, it really took some time for me to get back in my body, to do some somatic exercises, a bit of breath,
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah, nice, man. Nice. Well, man, thanks for coming,
Thanks,
and yeah,
man. Appreciate it.
welcome, man. It's a
Well,
pleasure
do
to
you know
have you
what?
here.
Like, ever since we first met, I actually love chatting to you. I think, like, even when we had the drum and the didgeridoo or something, it was just vibing. Like, we literally just crossed paths for a split second, had a little jam and left again. It was pretty good. Nice one.
Yeah, man. Yeah. There's a good interactions, right? I enjoy those. Man. So what really intrigued me, because I've been, we crossed paths, and then I've been following you online, and I've been watching from afar what you do, and man, it looks amazing, man. From they look like full on epic pilgrimages up mountains with a bunch of men, and I also
Yeah.
see what you're doing with the Icaros, the vibration, and like
Mm.
the the healing through sound, that sort of authentic expression. I think it's amazing. So I
Yeah.
really love to
Yeah.
hear a little bit about, because there's so much I don't know about you. Like I know hardly anything about you really. So I would love to hear if you're
Yeah.
willing to share. Just it doesn't need to be too in depth, but if you want to, you're welcome to. But sort of what led you into this path,
Yeah.
and
So,
how you would sort of define
oh,
your
man,
your
like,
work.
could go right back to the start, but I don't think it's fully necessary. I had a really, really difficult upbringing and ended up getting into drugs super early. Like 12, 13, taking drugs at festivals and on nights out and things. And then I sort of said that I was devoted to joining the Royal Marines. I wanted to be a Royal Marines commander for pretty much all my life, as long as I'd known. So joined the Royal Marines at 16, got injured, left, went back to drugs. Joined again, got injured, left, went back to drugs. Then joined the Royal Engineers, went 2-4 commander. And like during this time, like I had like abuse, you know, sexually, physically, and then sort of just like found the medicine path, like the plant medicine path. Ayahuasca pretty much saved my life. I really do owe her a lot of stuff, but where I'm at now, I'm sort of moved away from the plant medicines. Like it was great at the start. It was what I needed to get sober and to find me, like the essence of who I was. But I feel like where I'm at now, I'm sort of, not everyone can drink plant medicines. Not everyone can go do that sort of stuff. So I'm sort of trying to implement real tangible change, but without any plant medicine, you know, using stuff like the song, basic breath work, like relaxing the nervous system, you know, like tangible things that anybody can do. And you don't have to be on a spiritual journey. You don't have to go drink this crazy plant medicine. You don't have to do any of that. So I sort of went through the army, super depressed, left, and then started working with ayahuasca pretty much full time. Like, you know, devoted my life to the medicine. Went to Peru. I've done like 7 dietas now. You know, I've done a lot. Like just drinking so much medicine, trying to find out who I was. And during my time drinking the medicine, I would have these journeys of like holding ceremonies for like 150 men. And at the time, I didn't really know what that meant, because I always said to myself, I never want to hold ceremonies for more than 4 people. Like I really want intimate ceremonies, really working on knowing the client, you know, having a relationship, building a relationship with the client. And creating change in their life, rather than just another number to come drink with me, pay me money, and then leave, and then just be just as depressed or lost as you was before you come. You know, I really want to, hey, what's your name? What do you do as a job? Like, how can we work with the medicine in a way that's going to benefit you? You know, and really create change. So that's what it come to. And then about 2 years ago, maybe 2.5 years ago, my best friend from the army committed suicide, and that was the 4th lad that I knew from the military that had committed suicide. But this was like super close to home, you know. This was like, we were best friends, man. Like we did everything together. We'd served together for years, and it broke my heart, to be honest. So I thought I can't sit from the sidelines anymore and watch these men, you know, go through turmoil and just not do anything about it, you know, like. And I was like, you know, I was offering ceremonies and cacao and breathwork and movement, whatever it was, but no, people that are not on a spiritual journey or have the awareness of that self-discovery yet are just not interested in that. They just don't care. Like the army lads don't care about that. They don't care about coming and learning how to breathe. They don't care about doing movement. They don't care about coming drinking cacao. Like they don't care about that. But what do they care about? They care about that they're not very well. They care about that their brothers are committing suicide. They care about their families, you know. So it's like, how to help those men, you know? How do I really? And so I sort of, when I set up the Brotherhood, it was all about plant medicines. It was all about holistic healing, sound healing, all that. And as it's grown through its paces, it's come to a position now where it's more focused on personal development, growth, tangible change, nervous system relaxation, and actual exercises that people can do every day that's going to benefit their life, you know. And not get lost in all the spiritual woo-woo, you know. Like even when I teach shamanism, I'm very grounded in my teachings, you know. I think, how can someone take this information that they've got and go to a corporate job in central London and still apply these principles, you know? That's what's important for me, is that people can still live a life that makes them happy, whether that be, you know, an environmental consultant in London Central, because they like their job, but they can still be a shaman. You know, they can still do all the work of a shaman. They don't have to change their job. They don't have to, you know, start holding ceremonies or doing anything like that. They can just be exactly as they are, just with this newfound ability and skill and knowledge and wisdom that they can implement, you know. So that's basically how I then got into men's work, how I started doing one-to-one therapy. And it's changed, you know, it's changed over the years.
Yes, Powerful, powerful. Um, I'd like to ask about so coming from the military now. I I have a little bit of familiarity with the military. I did kind of a UPS
Yeah.
course at college. I don't know if that rings a bell or anything, but I went to Livingstone.
Yeah, yeah.
I've done like a mock version of the PRMC. So you know, I know like the tiniest bit of sort of what goes on there, and I was almost, I was almost sold that dream, you know, of the Royal Marine Commander. I was very close. I was very close. I'd done my medical and the
Yeah.
you know, the very first test on the treadmill. I think it was at the office, and then my friend who I was living with at the time was just like, you're gonna have to shoot people, and you know, be shooting at people, and then there's all these risks, and you know, you could potentially be in the situation where you may need to take a life and
Mm.
so on. And I never even questioned any of this. I was only young, you know, I hadn't questioned any of that, and it just kind of hit me, and I was like, whoa, I can't do that. I can see how greatly it serves many people. But I've also have heard and read a little about from sort of a Jungian sort of perspective that a lot of men, you know, people in general need this sort of
Mm.
initiation into their own being, into themselves, from their sort of childlike sort of state to this almost kind of sovereign sort of state, I guess. And through what I learned through like Jungian psychology or psychotherapy, they say that the military is very enticing to young men who have that energy and that force. And but it it's a false initiation. It's, you know, it might not be true. You may be able to correct me on this, but what did you feel? Do you feel there are elements missing within the military in regards to leaving anyone who joins being able to carry what they've learned
Mm.
in the forces
Um,
into regular
Great
civilian
question,
life?
man. The military is like a really, really toxic relationship. You know, it's like there are aspects of the military which are beautiful, amazing, the best things that I've ever done in my life. You know, like I joined the military when I had nothing else. You know, really going for me. Like I thought I had friends, yet the same friends were making me do stupid shit, or not making me, but you know, it was all going down the wrong path, and I wanted to try to be away from that. You know, I was having struggles at home. Like I didn't feel like I belonged anywhere, and I think the army at the time were like selling this thing. It's like where you belong or something like that. And I remember hearing that, like, oh yeah, I want to
Mm,
belong to something. I want to be a part of something. And I know you touched on there about this idea that you might have to shoot somebody. Like, I think because I was so messed up as a kid, I didn't care about that. Like, in fact, I probably thrived off that. Like, I wanted to go to Afghanistan and Iraq and do all those crazy ass things. Like, um, but when I joined, you know, I had a home, I had food every day, I had brothers that would put their life down for me. I felt part of a family, a community. I felt like I was serving something greater than myself. I felt like I was protecting people in my homeland. You know, I felt like I had this purpose. But what I didn't realize at the time was all the
mm,
bullshit that come with it. Was all the trauma. Was all the just egos. Like it's literally a dog eat dog world in the military. Like if you're not fighting other people, bullying other people, you just get bullied and ate alive basically. And you sort of have to do that. It's changed now with all this new age that's coming through. It's definitely changed. There's more rules and regulations in place, but there wasn't that when I joined. 12 years ago. It was if you did something wrong, you got beat up for it. Like it wasn't like you just oh, don't do that again. It was you got beat up, like hit or kicked. And I remember getting kicked in the head on exercise before, like full. I was just like, what is going on? But that being said,
yeah.
taking away all like the horrible things, God, man, I learned so much. Like, and I think this is why I've sort of tainted the brotherhood in a way which is more developed on expeditions, because like going through these like hard challenges, especially in the Royal Marines, it was fucking difficult, really difficult. Like, and I was pushing myself through these barriers, mental barriers I never thought I was capable of ever. Like
Mm,
my body was screaming to me, "Give up, stop now," and my mind was like, "Can't." I've just got to get this done. I've just got to keep going. And at the end of those things, I like reached this place of like ultimate bliss. You know, it was like this task is done, and I'm like, oh my god, like, and it was empowering. It was so empowering. Like, oh my god, I'm capable. What? There's nothing that I can't do here. And I even say this to my missus now, and she laughs. It's like if someone said to me, "Oh, can you run a marathon?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'll run a marathon right now." Like, there's no doubt in my mind. Like, if I could run a marathon a day every day for the next year, like, because I'm so focused on that, I can achieve anything that I set my life to. So I sort of like took that from the military. I took this like sense of brotherhood for the military, and that's why I called it the brotherhood, because that's what I felt. And you know, even last night I had a phone call with my friends, the army lads, and you know, we did like a little pub quiz, and we just had such a good laugh. And you know, they're always there for me. You know, when I become homeless a few years ago, I rang my mate up and he was like, "Yeah, mate, come stay at man." Like, no questions asked, didn't ask me for any money, didn't ask me for anything, just provided me with what I needed to get back on my feet to then sort my life out. You know, it was he just took care of me. So I think that's what I want to try and take from the military and implement in everyday life is how do I get that relationship, that brotherhood environment, that community, that love, that devotion to help one another, take it out of the military and implement it with civilians. You know, like that's my plan, is to take all the good out things and create a space where all that's happening together healthily, you know, in a healthy role, in a healthy community with positive role models and people that actually want to do better for the world, you know.
Mm. Yeah, cool, cool. And were you saying earlier that it was ayahuasca, or you know, the work with the plant medicine that really
Yeah,
gave you
so
that vision, that
I
inspiration
drank
to do that?
ayahuasca, God, I like 18, 19 or something. And at the time, you know, I was just full of trauma, like completely and utterly addicted to drugs, couldn't stop. And the medicine was just showing me like this new life, not necessarily being a hippie, not necessarily, you know, being devoted to plant medicines, not necessarily doing any of that, more just like how deeply unhappy I was where I was, and that I had the strength to change that. You know, I had the strength to be someone else and to think a different way and to act a different way. Like I knew I had traits that were very toxic, and when I did that trait, I knew I didn't like who this was, and I wanted to change that. And ayahuasca almost showed me all this. Said, look, you can do this, and you know, I'd booked to go to the jungle a few times, and then like I'd got sent on tour, or you know, got sent on exercise or something. So I was like, this idea of going to the jungle and sorting my life out was like getting taken away from me. So I was like, I think what I have to do now is I'm so depressed in the military is quit and just devote my life to the plants for a bit, you know, and that's what I did. And I sort of like there was a bit of a grey area because I couldn't leave because I had like, you know, mental health issues and stuff. But then, pardon me, as I was on leave, I just devoted my life to the plants, was drinking as much as I could, pardon me, working on myself, and then yeah, from there, I was like, wow, this new life where I can work truly on personal development, not be in a toxic environment, not keep taking on trauma, you know, get treated like an actual human being. Like, I'm not have to do stupid stuff all the time every week, you know, or like, I was just so fed up with that lifestyle. Yeah, I just couldn't be bothered with it anymore. And I thought ayahuasca and the plant medicine, once I devoted my life to hair, showed me so much more, showed me how to love, how to have open conversations, how to relax the nervous system, how to do things that I never could do for the last 18 years, you know? So, yeah, it was ayahuasca that really honestly saved my life. Like, she got me off drugs. You know, and she gave me an ultimatum. Like, I remember I was in Basingstoke psychiatric ward for a while, and I remember the spirit of ayahuasca come to me and basically said to me, you know, you've got an option here. You either devote your life to me and become a curendero and go to jungle and, you know, learn the way of the mestizo shaman and the shipibo, and you know, devote your life to plant medicines, or you can go back to drugs and, you know, within a year you're going to be dead. So I was just like, oh my god, like, and that, I was just like, I can't do that. And I come out of the hospital, got sober the week after, and then from there just devoted my life to the plants, yeah, and been sober ever since. So and it's been a magical journey, really really difficult at times, you know, and still is difficult still now, but yeah, I'm doing everything that I can to be better and to help others and to show them that there is another way and you don't have to walk the path that's, you know, somewhat being paved for you. You can go off the beaten track and start making your own way, you know.
Mm-hmm. So how did it look at the beginning of your journey when you were really devoting yourself to the plants?
It was
What
mental,
did that
actually. It was
encompass for
utterly
you?
mental. Like at the time, I had a really good mentor, like a really good teacher. We don't speak now. We had a big fallout. I'm not going to get into that, but I had a really good teacher who had been serving the plants for a long time,
Yeah.
14 years or something, and I was experiencing things that I thought wasn't normal. I thought like I was losing my mind a bit, maybe. People call about like this spiritual awakening. Like there's a very fine line, I think, and when I speak to like psychotherapists and psychologists,
Mm.
a few of my friends are psychotherapists and psychologists, and we speak about this. It's like a very fine line between like spiritual awakening and like psychosis. It's like it's literally a hair away. And sometimes I definitely thought I was losing my mind. Yeah, I was like, having
Mm.
plants talk to me in my dreams, and yeah, luckily, like I say, luckily I had a really, really good mentor that was coaching me through the full thing. And I think this is why it's so important for when you go drink with somebody, you go drink medicine with somebody, you choose the person wisely, because I know some people that haven't even had any integration support after drinking the medicine. And it's like, what? Like, how is that? How are you doing that? Like, if it wasn't for my teacher at the time, I'd be utterly lost. But as you develop a relationship with the medicine, with ayahuasca, you learn more how she works. She learns more about your fears. She learns what you can and can't handle. She learns more about your physical body, how you work, your diet, everything. The relationship builds up, builds up, builds up, and it gets better. And you start seeing the other side of the hill. Rather than always on the. I describe it like a hill like this. And like the start of my journey was always on the up. Like I was always like fighting everything and resisting, and so much tension everywhere all the time. And then at some point in my journey, and I don't know what that point was, I started rolling down the other side of the hill, and things started getting a lot easier, and I started understanding myself more and understanding others, and the way that the world works, and yeah, the way that ayahuasca works, and the way that she works with me, and what I can and can't do, and what I can and can't handle. And yeah, sort of went from there really. And then, obviously I've held some ceremonies myself, not in the UK, in Peru. I just want to put that out there for any police listening. And
Yeah.
yeah, just started my relationship with the plant completely changed. Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. 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 So, um, you went. So you did the
7, yeah. So
dietism
I've done
in
a few in
Peru.
the UK as well.
You done. You'd say
So I did
7, but
Caliponga in the UK. I did Skull Cap in the UK.
yeah.
I did
Okay.
Cleansure in the UK, and I did Pine Needle in the UK.
Right.
And then in Peru, I did Tauri, Caparona,
Mm.
Chichaki Caspi, Mapacho Tobacco, and Camalonga. Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Okay. Right. Nice. Um, Bobbin Sana, that's one. It's just a plant that
Yeah, so
I've worked with, which you didn't
yeah,
just
but the
mention, which you
difference,
didn't
like,
mention there.
I don't know how
You work with that
other
one too?
tribes do it and stuff, but my teacher says that if you put a plant in your medicine, you don't have to do a dieta with it. So like we put Bobbin Sana in the brew. So like usually like the brew would be like chacruna, or mimosa,
Oh,
ayahuasca, like 3 plants. Whereas like my teacher is like chacruna, mimosa,
mm.
ayahuasca, datura, mapacho tobacco, Bobbin Sana, 6 plants. So it's like he works with it slightly different. That's just what I got taught. That's the
Oh,
way that I drank. And yeah, so I said, oh, I want to do a diet with Bob and Sandy. He said, there's no need, you drink it in your medicine. It's like you don't need to do a diet with it. You can build a relationship
mhm.
up with it every time you drink. So I've sort of never done that. I'd love to do it. I definitely still think in my own time I'd love to get a plant and
Cool.
do a diet with Bob and Sandy in that way. But if I was to ever go to the jungle with him, he says, nah. He says
Mm.
you don't drink plants that are already in the brew. So yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah. That makes sense. That makes sense. Um, so I also see in your bio
Yeah.
you say about the medicine wheel. That you're a teacher of the medicine wheel. You would you be able to explain
Yeah, of
a bit
course.
about the
So
medicine wheel? I'm not too familiar
um,
with
this
the
is where obviously
concept,
it
to
gets a
be
bit
honest.
tricky. The medicine wheel doesn't actually exist objectively. Like it's more of a westernized thing that's taken the carers' teachings and put it in something that we can offer people that work a 9 to 5 job Monday to Friday. So the medicine wheel itself is just a way of life. It's not like you come and do these 4 courses and that's it. It's a way of life that you do every single day from the minute you wake up the minute to the minute you go to bed.
Mhm.
So the Kero and the Pacos that I use sometimes, they are Quechua-speaking tribes up in the mountains in the Andes in Cusco in Peru. And they basically live and breathe this morning to night every day. And when Alberto Viodo sort of went over there and started working with these tribes, he started going to the different Kero tribes in the mountains, and that's how we come up with the Munai Key rites. So the Munai Key rites are basically rites of from these different tribes that he's put together in a group of rites and now offers it out. Whereas what the medicine wheel is so my teachers, Don Antonio, Don Miguel, and some others, older elders that I'm not too sure of, they basically teach us, and we put it in a wheel, so it's split out over 4 years, rather than hounding people non-stop for weeks and weeks and weeks with all these teachings, and it just blowing their mind, you know, because they've got to go to work on a Monday and try and integrate stuff that they've just done, which is sometimes a lot, you know. So the way that I work it, and I've sort of like adapted my medicine wheel ever so slightly. Like mine's influenced a lot from the jungle as well. Like I put my own teachings in there that I got from the jungle. But the way that my medicine wheel works is you have a gateway, which is or an open portal, which is basically invitation for you to come to me. We have a 2 days teaching shamanism, and to see if I'm the teacher for you, you know, because like. So you might come to me and go, oh, he seems really good online, but I get there and we just don't vibe. And that's also okay. Like, I don't have to be your teacher. And also vice versa. Like, you might come and I go, actually, I don't think I could teach you. Like, you know, I think you'd be more suited to this person or to that person. From the gateway, you go on to the south, then the west, and the north, and the east. So the south is the initiation into being a mesa carrier. My mesa's downstairs at the minute, but into being a mesa carrier, and then you basically start working on traumas. You learn healings, illumination healing, past life healing, soul retrieval, cord cutting, sowing the seed, where you basically, it's like a manifestation thing. You learn dispatchers, which are like offerings to Mother Earth Pachamama. You learn, I teach Mapacho tobacco stuff as well, which wasn't in my medicine wheel, but I've added that in because I think it's necessary, just because my relationship with Mapacho has been amazing, really life-changing actually. And then we do like rites of passage. So in the south, you get your Mesa initiations. In the west, you have like an energetic burial where we sort of, you have to go and get obituaries written by your family, and I basically cover you in white, and then we sing the song of death, and then you basically die, and we read out your obituaries, and you go through like an energetic death. In the north, you have a vision quest. So I take you out somewhere where you don't know, put you in a 1 meter by 1 meter square. All you're allowed is water, a sleeping bag, and warm clothes. And then you're just 24 hours by yourself with water in the wild. No phones, no smokes, no nothing. Just you, planet Earth, Pachamama, and that's it. And then in the east, we have the rite of passage, which is the burial. So you basically dig your own grave. You've got 8 hours to dig your grave, and then you spend 16 hours in the grave. With like I put a board over the top, so people can, you know, if you need the toilet severely, you know, you can get out, but put a board over the top, and then you basically stay in there in pitch black for 16 hours. Yeah. So there's like rites of passage and everything. The teaching is from the carer as well, but it is influenced, I think. I don't think it's 100% pure, and you know, I don't want to sell it as 100% pure because it's definitely not, you know. But I do try and stick to the teachings as the Cairo teachings as much as possible. And stuff that isn't aligned with the Cairo teachings, I say to my students, hey, this is a separate teaching that I got given, but I think it's necessary. So they can like differentiate, you know, so the teachings aren't getting blurred or crossed. And yeah, I'm not just like a typical white person going over, grabbing what isn't mine and then trying to sell it as a course, you know, like I try and I do this work myself pretty much all the time, you know. I'm so devoted to being a mesa carrier, truly. And you know, I probably say more no to more people than I say yes to, actually, just because I think, you know, I'm really selective with who my students are. I think, you know, I really want people that are just going to just do the work. You know, that's what's important for me, is that people come and actually get better, not just, you know, say they're going to get better and then in 20 years still doing the same things. You know, yeah. Because and I think the reason why that is because people, you know, ring me a lot and want to talk to me a lot about teachings and stuff. And I don't want to live the same cycles. You know, I don't want to keep telling you the same information week in, week out as a teacher to a student. So it's like, I want people that are going to get the information a few times, then go away and change something about themselves or about the situation, and you know, create positive change as a collective. You know. So yeah,
Yeah, yeah. So you're giving away the tools for them to work with
yeah,
themselves, right? So
yeah.
in theory, they shouldn't
That's the
need to
plan.
keep
You know,
coming
that's the plan.
and coming back. Yeah. Okay. Man, so that, yeah. I mean, what you said about man, I'm glad I asked that question because I wasn't expecting a response like that. I thought it was, well, I didn't really know what it was, but I thought it was just going to be sort of a list of things that formed some sort of metaphorical wheel and they were medicines. But I guess it is that. But the medicines you're using are like, yeah, man, they're a lot different from what I expected. They're full power, like you say, rites of passage and rituals that are going to
Yeah,
be creating huge shifts in the psyche, right? Like you know, the symbolic death and the burial and the rebirth. And is this does this work alongside like in entheogens or
yeah.
plant medicines, or is it in
Fully
a
sober,
what you
fully
maybe would
sober.
call like
Yeah,
a sober
there's
sort of
no plant
state,
medicines
or
involved in this
is it a
at all,
mixture?
and it's not needed. You know,
Yeah,
um, like just
yeah.
as a little
Mm.
example, I
No,
had a
no.
West, you know, a few months back, and he's my best friend, so like I had to write him an obituary and then come out of teacher role, read my own obituary to my friend, and then go back to teacher role. And yeah, we was both
Mm.
crying messes, right? And but hard for both of us, you know, like saying goodbye to our friend, and like you
Yeah,
feel it in the body. And I remember he said to me after, he said, you know, at one point I genuinely thought I was dead. You know, I actually thought I died. You know, like it was horrible. And but you come back a
yeah.
different person. And I remember mine, like I remember crying my eyes out on my death, and it, like either east when you actually dig your own grave. Um, you know, I'm in this grave, pitch black, and I'm singing Icaros and doing my typical thing, and I could feel like the rumbling of the earth, like the earth
Mm.
was trying to talk to me, and I thought, like even when I get these things, I'm still skeptical. Like I think deep down in me, I'm still a skeptic. You know, I always have to question things, and they have to keep coming up and almost prove me wrong. You know. So I'm like, oh well, you know, it's just a car, right? It's just a car. So I'm like, this thing's going past, and I thought, right, it's just a car, and it comes and comes and it goes again, and it goes. We're in the middle of nowhere, right? There's not that many cars. Like, there's not that many cars going to be coming past. So I'm like, what is
Yeah.
this? And I'm like, right, I need to go inwards and find out. Closed my eyes, started really tuning into this sound, and it just like almost like got overpowering over everything else. And I was like, where are you coming from? And it was almost, I believe, even to this day, as skeptical as I am, it was elephants talking to me, like rumbling the floor. And when I'd like left that situation, I'd gone back and like Google, like, oh, I heard
Mm.
rumbling, and I thought it was elephants. And I actually found out that elephants talk over miles by rumbling the pads in their feet. And I was like, what the fuck is just going on?
Mm.
Like, this is no, people are going to call me crazy if I tell like my therapist about this. I'm going to get sectioned, like, you know, going through all these worries. But you know, it was just the earth and the animals and the spirit realm just doing its thing, man. You know, like I'm not. And I always say to my students, like, I'm not special. Like, I'm not like everybody
Mm.
can do this. Everybody can experience these things. You know, you just have to give it enough devotion. You know, you really just have to give it enough devotion. That's it. Like, don't
Mm.
just meditate once and expect that you're going to get all the answers flowing in. You know, meditate every day for a year, and then after a year, tell me what's going on. You know, and I think that's what's happened is because I was so devoted to the medicine path and to healing and to being
Mm.
better and to self development. When that thing happened, I was like, it just come to me straight away, and yeah, blew my mind. If you go on my website, naokinayati.com, I've actually wrote a blog about it. I've got another blog about my Vision Quest. Weird things happened with that as well. That was
Oh,
insane. But yeah, it's all on there as well, in depth.
yeah. Yeah, cool. So personally, when I hear you say, you know, these sorts of things, I can see, I can feel the reasoning to why people would want to let, you know, parts of them sort of go and be reborn into their newer selves. But I'm sure there are a lot of, like you said, you know, some of the army people were just like, nah, to certain ideas. There's probably going to be some people watching this that are thinking, why on earth would you want to dig a pretend sort of grave for yourself? Why on earth would you pretend to die? Why would you want to bring that sort of experience upon yourself? Like what? Yeah,
I have no idea.
Can you explain why someone would do that, or what you've seen people benefit? Like you've probably seen transformations from it.
Yeah,
of course, right?
I don't know. I think for me, why did I want to do it? I was really excited to do it. I think I want to take my body and my mind as far as it can go. Like what else is there? Like what else is there out there? Like where would that take me? What else can I experience? How deep can this go? Like even with myself, I'm like, like let's meditate for 20 minutes. I meditate for 20 minutes. I'm like, okay, yeah, got a decent bit. Right, let's meditate for 5 hours. What happens when you meditate? All right, well, what happens when you meditate for 10 hours? Like, does something more happen? Does something less happen? Do you come back? Like, I'm always like inquisitive in a sense. So I'm like, when that was the option, and some of my teachers said, "Hey, look, you're gonna dig your own grave," I was like, "Sick, like amazing." Like, I wonder what happens in that. And then did it, realize what happens, and then I'm like, what does happen in there? I think what happens in there is there are no distractions. It's literally just you, just your thoughts. There's no getting away. There's no leaving. There's no. Everyone's always like trying to escape what it is that comes up a lot. It's like even on an ayahuasca journey, you see it in ceremony. Someone comes up with someone and start freaking out. Because I'm like, oh wow, what's that? Inquisitiveness rather than like fear. I'm like, wow, why is that happening in me? I wonder what that emotion is. Or like even acknowledging it, just being aware of it. Like, oh my god, like I've got some tightness in the chest. I wonder what that's from. Oh, let's figure that out. So I think for me it was very exciting. But for other people, if you're not too excited about it, I think maybe ask yourself why not. First of all, like what's coming up in you? What's present in the body? Is it fear? Is it confusion? Is misunderstanding? What is it? Okay, and then that's where that comes from. Like when's the first time that you felt that? Because the fear probably isn't from looking at yourself. It's from probably some underlying. So if students are nervous for those sorts of things, I'll just say, okay, what's coming up for you right now? And they'll say, oh, like I've got a lot of fear. Like, what happens if it's just me and I'm just there? And I'll say, okay, well, they're all just made up stories, like, a man ain't going to come out the woods and do this. It's like, it's just a made up story, and that's usually what happens is people talk to themselves or talk them out of it and create stories that don't necessarily exist. All that's doing is you're just digging a hole in the floor and laying in it, really. But with that comes a lot of introspection and a lot of time where there's no distracting yourself with phones, food, other people, sleep. Sleep is a bit weird in there because it's pitch black all the time, so you don't know whether it's dark, night, morning, afternoon. Like you're like, oh, I'm tired. Oh, well, I best go to sleep. And you're like, then you wake up and you're like, oh, has it been 2 hours, 10 hours, 2 minutes? So it's very introspective, very life-changing, man. Life-changing, yeah. Honestly, it really is.
Yeah. Is that something?
Yeah.
Because you said earlier that drinking medicine isn't for everyone. I could feel that could be similar experience. The amount of introspection that you'd go through being in that kind of lack of stimulation. Purely, it's just your own self to explore. Could that be potentially a safer way for certain people to go through that sort of inner work instead of drinking
and the reason why is
medicine?
because, like, let's say I put someone in the ground. One of my students, every hour I have to come and sing to you on the hour. So every hour for 1 hour I'm singing to you. So if you're clever, you can just track the time through song. So you're good to go. Whereas some people, they come and they can't deal with it.
Yeah.
All you then do is just get out of the grave and go home. Go have your cup of tea, go in your nice comfortable house with your warm pajamas and your bed. You're good to go. Whereas the difference between that and plant medicines is once you've drank 40 ml of ayahuasca, you're not coming back for a while. Regardless of how much you want to come back, you're not coming back. It's like you're in it, mate. There's no getting away, there's no running away. So I think for those that are maybe worried about not having the ability or the idea or perspective of that you're in control, maybe start off with those rites of passage first, and then through that, you might move on to plant medicines if that's your calling, but But these things, and what I'm realizing now is, as much plant medicine as I've drank, there's nothing more life changing than just facing reality. Okay, and this is what I'm experiencing. Like a walk in the woods for a good hour, 2 hours, 3 hours brings me more clarity on a daily basis over a period of time than one ayahuasca ceremony. You know, because you're walking to the woods every day. You know, and that accumulation over time. Say you drink once a month. What I learn about myself doing introspective work in my local woodland is probably more than what I would get from that plant medicine. You know, because it's every day. It's non-stop. You don't. You know, that is reality. Reality is like, I've got to deal with my shit. I've got to go to work. I've got to earn money. I've got to pay that bill. Like, so I'm thinking, you know, that's why it's so important for people not to drink. Not so important. That may have not. I'm not saying that right. But if plant medicine is not for you, don't think that you can't still make the same change as someone who hasn't drank plant medicine. Both of those things will be transformational. Just find which transformation it is that you need to do and work on that. You know, don't think that you've got to drink ayahuasca. Don't even think that you've got to go to a grave and dig your own grave and get in that for 12 hours. You can find those through meditation. You can find that through journaling, if that's your thing. You can find it through the gym. As long as you are conscious and aware of the fact that you have traits, aspects of yourself that are not great and you want to change them, we're all on the same page. You know, that's what it is, isn't it? It's just making tangible change in your life.
Yeah. And you used the word earlier, devotion. Would it be devoting yourself to using whichever method, as long as you're devoting yourself to positive
That's
change,
what I believe. Yeah,
you'll
personally,
achieve
I think,
that essentially, right?
yeah, like I don't think that this is why I know this from my experiences, because I was with the same people doing the same drugs on the same weekends in the same pubs, expecting to be different, hoping that something would just change. Nothing's going to change. Not one thing is going to change. What's going to change is when I go, actually, I don't want to do this, and leave it. You know, it's me making that choice, then leaving. You know, but it takes somewhat devotion to constantly do that. Yeah, you might change one aspect of your life, but nobody has, like, I don't want to say their shit together, but everybody has parts of themselves which they're not necessarily happy with, you know, or things that you do where you're like, oh, I could have done that better, you know. That takes devotion to work on those over and over and over and over again, you know. Like I've still got stuff that I need to work on, that I'm working on with my partner. My partner's amazing, you know. She helps me loads, you know. I'm still working on stuff, and I will still work on stuff until the day I die. But as long as I'm slightly better than I was yesterday, I'm happy with that, you know.
Yeah, yeah. Um, and so you work, you made the work you've done and you're doing is, honestly, it sounds incredible. It sounds really cool. It's right up my street sort of thing, right? Especially the darkness, digging your own grave, and the solitude. And then when you said you come in and you sing every hour, man, that just makes it even even more special. It's cool. Um, but what I'm interested to know is, because I've been into, for quite a long time, I was sort of
Yeah.
chasing these kind of altered states, maybe they would be called, or these altered like experiences. I mean, what I was after was this outer body experience. It didn't take too long before I started to see myself as going inwards instead of outwards in the process of searching for this. But so there was the use of different medicines or plant medicines or entheogens or whatever you want to call them. But then I thought, I would like to replicate this without anything, with nothing. So that's when sort of isolation, solitude sort of practices came in, and personally, I feel I've experienced um, heightened or altered states that are very much equatable to what can be perceived in ceremony without any substance. I would be in like a fasted state and doing sort of a breathwork practice that limits the amount of breaths you're taking. So I would take just one breath a minute. It took me a while to get to that point, but I would just take a breath every minute for an extended period of time daily, and then enter into these almost like holographic like experiences, and states where I could feel like I could pluck wisdom and knowledge. I mean, I say pluck it from somewhere, but it wasn't coming from outside. It was all just kind of flowing out of me. It would appear. You yourself um, correlated these same sort of states of mind or states of awareness doing the work with plants and without plants. Are you seeing a
I
correlation
definitely
between the two?
experienced them both, like on plants and off plants. I find like I think it comes back to that word devotion again. You know, it's like people sit there for a minute and then think that they're going to have this life changing moment. They might do, by all means. You know, there's that possibility. But if you sit there for a minute every hour for the next year, what's going to happen on the 5,000 minute? You know what I mean? It's like you've got to keep doing the thing to achieve something. Like I think as well. Like this is my experience. I feel like I don't know whether it's spirit, God, whatever you want to call it. It almost rewards you for that devotion. Like to me, I see like this the religion as the same thing as spirituality. It's devotion to something greater than yourself, in the hope that you will get more information about you on how to be better, how to be a better partner, a better lover, a better friend, communicate better, everything. Eat better, the lot. I think plant medicines sometimes, like once you build up a relationship with that plant, you can drink the medicine or eat the medicine or whatever, and you get that information not quicker, but you get the information in a different way completely. Like I'm more than happy now with where I'm at in my life to just drink plant medicine for me, because I need information now and again, or I need to work on something in myself that maybe this breathwork can't get to, or maybe meditation can't get to. And the rest of the time, just be on planet Earth, like and learn the skills from planet Earth. Pachamama, learn it from just going inwards, like you say, introspective. I find that I'm getting so much more from that, but also respecting the Earth as well. Like I want to come back to the brotherhood thing. On our brotherhood retreats, we're climbing mountains. We're doing the 3 peaks. We've got Snowdon on the first, on Saturday this weekend. And then in March, we're going to Mount Toubkal, climbing Mount Toubkal, which is the highest mountain in North Africa, 4,200 meters or something. So I'm like, when I'm walking up this mountain, I have so many downloads, like so much information about myself on how I can be better, how I can improve. Oh, I need to do this. And I'm writing notes almost as I'm going up and talking to people. And sometimes when you're climbing up the mountain, when you're going through, maybe your legs are cramping a bit, something's happening, and I'm not exactly sure what that is, but something's happening where I feel more connected than ever before, and I've not taken any substance. I'm fully 100% sober on just drinking water and eating pasta, and it's I get so much information actually, how to improve my business, how to be a better partner. Hindsight, I'm reflecting on things that I've done where I'm like, oh, well, I wish I did that differently. That needs to change. I'm writing a note of that, just from climbing a mountain, really, just from climbing a mountain. And I always, like, we have themes in the brotherhood. So on the Mount Toubkal retreat, I don't want to give too much away because some of it is a bit not secretive, but we're sort of like going to show the men on the day, like, hey, this is what we're doing, like that. Not scare factor, but you know what I mean. So we've got themes for every day. So one day they wake up, you're going to have breakfast, and then we've got a theme for the day. So you have to follow that theme. Whether that theme be silence for 12 hours, no talking at all. Like, what does that bring up for the person? Unless it's health and safety concern, you're allowed to talk. But silence. What does silence bring up for somebody? But then like another theme could be always making noise. Even if you sat still, you have to be making noise of sorts, like whether that be singing, talking, walking. There has to be a noise coming from what you're doing apart from when you're asleep. Like, what does that bring up? The fact that you can't stop, like, and you can't rest. So I think like doing things like that, which create introspection, you get to the same altered states, really. Especially through hardship. Climbing mountains, like digging your own graves, doing any of those sorts of things where it is a bit scary, a bit difficult.
Yeah, I think that's brilliant. Really, really is brilliant. Yeah, I like that a lot. I really like that a lot. The in that way, I feel. So I mean, I've been in quite a few ceremonies, not a huge amount. Maybe it's getting close to 30-ish or something. And one thing I recognize quite often, there is a handing over of I suppose it's good in a way, it's necessary, but you know, it can encourage that sort of surrender like state that people can go into. But afterwards I feel sometimes there is a handing over of the power of you know, this beautiful experience has come to them and they've recognized something within them. But then instead of saying, "Oh, you know, the plants have shown me I have this, or this is within me, or I am capable of this," it becomes, "Oh, with Mother Ayahuasca, I have the ability to do this." Or
Tumor, yeah.
when what is it, white tumor, is that the grandfather? You know, with white tumor, I can become this, or you know, with something else, I become that. But instead of saying, "Oh, white tumor showed me I have this innate capability within me," or Mother Ayahuasca taught me I have this innate capability within me, and then I see many, maybe not many, but I see you know, a good amount of people sitting in multiple ceremonies yearly, maybe monthly, because they feel they need to be with that plant to feel they have that power. Whereas I think what you're doing is you're taking people through different tasks, and a lot of them without the plant, and saying, "Look, you can find this." Well, you're probably not even telling them. They're finding the power in the experience that you're creating for them, and they haven't had to take anything external to attain that. So I believe that you're giving them this gift, this knowledge of what they're capable of, and they're able to keep that with them instead of just saying, "Oh, it was this crazy plant experience that I had that made me feel this way." You're actually locking it into them,
Yeah.
and they can't deny. It's undeniable that it is them.
That's
I
pretty
think
much it to a T,
that's
brother.
how I'm
Yeah, it's
hearing it anyway.
especially with the brotherhood, you know. It's like, how do I get this guy to come to me who's got depression, anxiety, you know, sometimes like severe addictions, and leave not having those things, you know. And I think what it is it's almost empowering the men, you know, and also having a close support network, but empowering the guy to show him that he's capable of anything that he can set his mind to. You know, you've just climbed one of the highest mountains in the world, yeah, over 2 or 3 days, and you're telling me you can't quit smoking. Like, you know, that's the way that I view it, and sort of like trying to address it to the men is like, you've just done one of the most demanding things ever, you know. Like, even like the Yorkshire Three Peaks, we did the Yorkshire Three Peaks. It's meant to be a 26-mile round trip. I was leading the way. My GPS took us the wrong way, right? And it was my fault because I didn't set it correctly and all that. But we ended up doing 32 miles, right? So we did an extra 6 miles on top of that, and climbed 3 mountains. And it was in the middle of winter. It was a foot of snow. Some of those men, when we got back, obviously the phones have died, everything. I had a spare battery for my not a battery, sorry, like a portable charging thing for my phone for health and safety. We got back to the van, and I said, "Look, boys, when we get back, I'll hold us a cacao ceremony." That was our plan. It was only meant to take us like 10 hours. And 12 and a half hours or 13 hours later, we're getting back to the van. It's pitch black. I think my toenail come off or something. My feet was bleeding. And they was like, "Oh, you know, like, oh my God, like, you're so hard." And I said, "Boys," I was like, "how many of you have ever done a marathon?" And nobody put their hand up, not one person. I said, "How many of you trained for this?" And it was like, "Oh, maybe, yeah, no, I did a bit of fitness." Every single one of them did an ultra marathon. Technically, 32 miles is the first start of an ultra marathon. Not one of them trained, and they were like, "What the hell? What, I've done that?" Like, they couldn't fathom it. They couldn't fathom what had just gone on for the last 12 hours. They're like, "How have I gone from not being able to like run 5K to now doing a marathon?" I said, "Because you're so much stronger than you realize, that you can do anything that you want. Like, there's no limitations. Like, if you could just say, right, I'm going to run a marathon every day next week and I'm going to do it. Like, you just have to just get up and just do the thing." So I try and teach them as much as I can that. And, you know, from that experience, like, the men have quit smoking. Like, I've got 2 lads come off drugs now. They've been sober since that event. you know, stuff like that. It's just phenomenal, like phenomenal change, like because they've realized in their own self, they've come to the realization, oh my god, I'm so strong. Look what I just did. Right, I can do anything. Right, I'm stopping tomorrow, and then just never going back. You know, and I didn't do anything. I didn't really teach them anything. I just showed them. I just almost like guided their hand so they could learn themselves that they are strong enough then to do anything that they want. You know, that's all I say. I am. I'm not necessarily. I don't even like the word teacher necessarily. I just show people what's worked for me, and hopefully it works for you too. And if it doesn't, let me try and introduce you to someone else that's they might have something that would work for you. You know, like I don't feel like I have the answers to anything or anything. To be honest, I just feel like this is what's worked for me. This is what I got from this experience. If you can get the same thing from this experience, you will also get to stop drugs or stop drinking or stop smoking or be a better partner or learn to control your anger because you know how to breathe properly now. You know, that's the way that I view teaching and helping the men. You know, it's very, very basic, very simple. No, not trying to overcomplicate anything. Empowering, community, love, gratitude, kindness, compassion, and nurture. Really, discipline and courage. You know, it's very important.
Yeah. Yeah. Cool. Well, I think, mate, it's been good. It's been good. It's been really cool. I liked how the topics have flowed, and the questions were just sort of answered naturally. So there is sort of one. Have you got a? I reckon you've got one. I reckon you've got one that you already know. What's your sort of go-to tip that anybody could start almost immediately that could create ripples in their life for improvement, for better?
Good question. Probably the thing that's coming alive in me right now is just take a minute. You know, just take a single minute, like just to do nothing, and just sit there for a second and just gather your thoughts, gather where you are. Like, you know, even on the train, like on the tube, like I lived in London for a while, and
Yeah.
just found it so full on. You know, like going on a tube with all those people screaming, shouting that real loud tick, 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 as the train's going past, and the screeching when the brakes applied. Like, it's way too intense for me. So, like, you know, when that was happening and that anxiety was coming up, everything, I was just like, just have a minute here, just looking around, and you know, where am I? Right, I'm on the tube. Yes, it's making a noise. Right, even like today, you know, I messaged you before. I've been feeling anxious all day. I said, hey, look, if I start messing up, you know, just jump in. And as I'm sat here waiting for you to call, my heart rate's going like this, and I said, right, so just take a minute. Just take a minute. Right, where am I? I'm in my room. I'm doing a call with somebody that I've spoken to many times. Hopefully, I might help somebody. Almost rationalized everything. Just like, hey, everything's good. You don't need to be anxious. Okay, boom, straight into it. Let's go. You know, just take a minute whenever you need. By the way, like no one's going to tell you off for having a minute just to gather your thoughts or catch your breath or yeah, just do it whenever, wherever you like. You know, at any point in time. Yeah, just have a minute, gather your shit together, and then go again. You know, yeah, that's probably it. That's
Yeah, man. That's a good one. That's a good one. It reminds me, I don't think I'm going to get it perfectly, but there's a verse in the Tao Te Ching that says something along the lines of uh, being still for long enough for the waters to become clear to know the next move, instead of trying to rush away through the mist or through the uncertainty. Just a moment of stillness, let things
perfect.
settle, and then
Yeah,
then
exactly
you'll find your way.
Literally.
But yeah, cool. Thanks for that. Hey, is there anything else you'd like to mention? You'd like to share? Some I know you say you've got some stuff coming up, but you do have some regular online. I've been seeing. I think you have
So
like men's
every
circle sort of
Tuesday,
things happening online over
every
Zoom.
Tuesday we have a thing called Tuesday Talks, which is just for men, completely free of charge. You know, I set it up and I put it on every Tuesday for free. I don't want any money. If you want to donate, that's up to you, but I don't ask for anything. It's just for us to get together as men, talk about shit that's coming up for us that week, and then do it again the next week. It's very relaxed. You can, eat on there if you're having your tea. You can drink your cup of tea, whatever. It doesn't matter. It's just super relaxed. You don't have to talk. You can just come on, listen, leave. You don't even have to say your name. I'll try and obviously make sure you're doing that, but it's just every Tuesday from 7 till 8:30. I'm pretty sure maybe it's 7:30 till 9. Anyway, somewhere like that. It's on my post. So that's that. The other things that we do are every month we try and get an expedition in. So we climb. So this weekend, Saturday, this weekend, we're climbing Mount Snowdon, completely free of charge again, boys. I try and earn enough money in my normal 9 to 5 job that I can keep stuff to a minimum for those that need it. So it's completely free of charge again. We're meeting at the Watkins car park at 7:30 on Saturday, climbing Snowdon together, up and down. We sometimes run cacao ceremonies online as well. I have a good friend of mine, Connor Cum. He plays music sometimes get breath workers in. So that's again probably donation just if I'm sending cacao out, or you buy cacao with me. But if you've got your own cacao, don't worry about it. It's donation or free if you are in the Brotherhood chat. We also have a retreat coming up in April, 25th to 27th. The name of that retreat is called The Earth Within, and it's about returning to that earth within you, that grounded place in you, and you're not getting lost in all the woo-woo. You can take teachings away. So I've got a good friend of mine who's a psychotherapist and psychologist coming and doing some chats. I've got me obviously doing some work, Alec, the guy who I'm running the retreat with at Green Swan Community. That's going to be in Tunbridge in the UK. That's yoga, meditation, bit of breath work, some not couples, but partner exercises for men, group exercises, group talks, all vegan food included. And then October, end of this year, we have another Mount Toubkal climb, but dates are going to be coming out for that at the end of this Mount Toubkal climb, which is fully sold out, sorry. And then end of October, after the Mount Toubkal climb, we also are planning a 6-day walk through the Algerian desert. So we're going to be looking, camping in the Algerian desert over 6 days, looking at the stars, and just being at one with the earth. So yeah, pretty cool, man. But we're finalising that as we speak. It's not fully out yet.
Yeah. Cool.
Thanks, man.
Cool. Mate, I hope this continues for a while, because I've got the way my life is looking over the next maybe even two years is pretty, yeah. I've got things all lined up, and I'm gonna have to be channeling my own, putting my own energy kind of back into all of my own stuff for a couple of years, just to get me where I'm sort of wanting to be. And then I'm gonna, I want to get involved. It sounds amazing.
Have you as well?
Sound really cool.
If you are in the Brotherhood chat, obviously just drop me a private message if you're a bloke, and I'll send you a link to the WhatsApp group. And we have 89 people in there now, real supportive community. We have subsections as well. So one of the subsections is here to help. And in there, if you're struggling with any mental health issues, you can post in there. We have psychologists, psychotherapists, myself, obviously my team, my students in there, and they'll get back to you as quickly as they can. We also have pinned messages for health and safety, last minute, if you're got any suicidal thoughts, depression. On there, you'll see in the Here to Help section, there's 10 or 5 numbers that you can call for suicidal prevention and help. We also have another group, a subsection in the same community called Men at Work, which is trying to help locals like us rather than big companies do plumbing and electrics and whatever else, so we can support each other as a community. So yeah, that's all in the Brotherhood chat. And then if you are in the Brotherhood chat, anything that we post, so say for example, let's just say Sam, you're in the Brotherhood chat. If my friend wants to set up a yoga session, for him to post it in the Brotherhood chat, he has to give 20% off to every member. So it's a very nice community where you get not rewarded. I don't want to use that word, but if you're in the chat, you there's benefits to being in the chat compared to being outside of the chat for the people in the chat. So it does work in people's favor. It's compulsory 20% off for all those if you are going to sell something. So it makes it worthwhile. Like courses or yoga sessions, breathwork, whatever it might be.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, cool. All right, amazing,
Yeah.
man.
Thanks ever
All
so
right,
much,
well,
Sam.
I
Appreciate your
think
time, brother.
we'll probably wrap it
Good
up.
luck.
Happy with that? No, mate, thank you for
Yeah,
yours, man. I
you too,
really
man.
appreciate that, man.
Yeah, speak to
Enjoy
you soon.
the
Bye,
rest of
everybody.
your
Thank you.
rest of your evening. And speak to you soon. All right. Hey, Matt. Cheers for your message. I saw that. I just didn't want to interrupt the flow of Naoki there while he was talking. If you're still there, Matt, you appreciate it, man. And I'm glad you have found the power of your breath and rethink. Maybe enjoyed that chat. I'm sure you found that quite interesting. Some topics there that you definitely would like, I'm sure. But yeah, did anybody hear about the rites of passage that Naoki was taking people through, taking people to out to the middle of nowhere and reading obituaries and having like a symbolic death and then digging your own grave. And I think he said 12 hours or 16 hours. You're in that grave for in the darkness. Just yeah, yeah. That's something for sure. I bet that is a life-changing experience. It's a lifetime experience, that is. I think I would like to do that at some point for sure. Maybe even with the guidance of Naoki himself. See how the future unfolds. But anyway, guys, ladies and gentlemen, and everything in between. Thanks for joining. I'm gonna blow this horn before I sign out. Hey, Christina. It's better. No, well, what Naoki was saying is that it's actually helping people, even those used it as an example, even those working, your standard jobs in the busy city of London. People are finding that centered and that calm, maybe that groundedness that you could find out in the woods by yourself. They're finding that within themselves, and they're able to keep that with them, even in the hustle and bustle of the corporate world, society, the city. So I think there is definitely some power in the work he is sharing, and it doesn't mean we all need to just retreat and run the woods. It could be nice. But anyways, I'll be back next week, maybe midway through next week, with a conversation with the next interesting guest. I haven't got them lined up yet, but it could potentially be sound healer that I've been speaking with, or there was there is a Shiatsu practitioner. So I'm going to see who is free first, and I will arrange it and let everybody know. Yeah, that was it. That's episode 2. Vital